Welcome, my friends, to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between the Vampire Counts, who shall be led by Aerocrastic, and the Dwarves, who are going to be led by Loopy is a hot elf, and I actually believe that's a move hacker. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, there's going to be Iron Drakes, there's going to be Vargulfs, all kinds of spooky, scary stuff, and proud Dwarves over here with some interesting artillery pieces. So very excited for this match. So as far as the vampire build goes, here in the front line, it's going to be Zombos, and Zombos do a good job of just tar pitting, getting around the flanks, and they're not quick, but you don't need a ton of speed to get around the Dwarven flank, so using these guys just to kind of be a distraction. I don't know if I would even call them like a distraction Carnifex, because like Carnifexes are big and scary and actually threatening. I mean, I don't know. What would be the equivalent? It's kind of like Plague Bearers, I guess, in 40k for anyone who plays, but I mean, even Plague Bearers hit pretty hard if they're buffed. But yeah, zombies here, going to be tar pitting, just allowing the other troops to cycle charge, buying time. And what's cool about zombies is if there's a troop with like charge defense or some slayers, you can actually tar pit them and then charge them. And then at that point, they're not going to have their charge defense. So zombies going to be tar pitting as they usually do. Secondary line is going to be the real bread and butter. It's going to be 3 groups of Graveguard with great weapons, which is pretty necessary for sure. Granted, this Dwarven army does actually have hammers. It's going to be pretty scary for those guys. There's certainly some big threats, but the Graveguard with great weapons with proper support and invocation and healing, they can do some really good work for sure. Bonus versus infantry, good armor piercing, and to beat dwarves you need AP generally speaking. So 3 of those guys going to be quite solid. He does also have the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord on foot, so he does bring the Helm of Discord to the table. So now all of a sudden, if these Graveguard with great weapons are fighting the hammers, but the Helm of Discord is active, those hammers are going to have really weak combat stats, and the Graveguard will probably be able to get the edge in that matchup there. So definitely a very good item here. One of the best in the game. Invocation, it looks like Von Hell's Dance Kebab, and it's going to be Raised Dead as well. So Raised Dead, of course, a staple against dwarves. Really good for shutting down missiles, just tar pitting the back line, tar pitting slayers, you name it. Up in the sky, Aerocrastic does also have 2 groups of Fellbats. Fellbats are very good for just keeping it honest. If your opponent does come in with like a bunch of gyrocopters or things like that, and you don't have Fellbats, it's going to be a bad time. It's going to be very obnoxious. And all it really takes is like 1 Fellbat can pretty much shut down a gyro. So that's a really, really good investment right there. On the flanks, there's going to be some Black Knights as well, just a cheap cav unit to kind of hammer the back line. Vargulf here, and it looks like there's going to be a second Vargulf teamed up with Black Knights as well. So flank pressure is going to be coming in from the Black Knights as well as the Vargulfs, and that's pretty much it. So cool army for sure. And now for the forces of the Dawi. It looks like Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, front line's going to be Longbeards, immune to Psych, tanky. Granted, they will struggle against like Graveguard and things like that because they do lack the armor piercing, but they're immune to Psych, and they do hold forever. I mean, it's still going to take Graveguard with great weapons quite some time to really crump through these guys. On top of that, we do have a Dwarf Lord, so going very cheap there, but there's going to be Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes. Now, these things, if left unimpeded, can just tear up Vargulfs. They can tear up pretty much any armored target, especially big ones. And yeah, they do their thing. I'm still more of a fan of Thunderers personally because of the range, but these guys in the right circumstances can do a ton of work for sure. On top of that, there's going to be 3 Dwarven Hammerers, and these guys are going to be just going ham bone, potentially cutting through zombies and Graveguard. We'll find out. In the back, we got more Longbeards, Dragonback Slayers to kind of slow and deal with Vargulfs and those big threats. And it looks like on the flanks it's going to be more Longbeard. So a very defensive Helm's Deep formation here. That's pretty much always the case with dwarves, and it's going to be really anchored by the Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes. So let's get this show on the road and see how this goes. So firstly, we do have the Fellbats who are going to be flying overhead, maybe going to be charging into the Trollhammer Torpedoes. But again, you probably don't want to do that until your main army is closer to kind of minimize the fire you're going to be taking. But I think he's flying overhead right now to just kind of scout out for like Rangers or things like that. Oftentimes there will be an Althar's Rangers, and you can see here Aerocrastic is going to be dropping some jukes. And it looks like A-Move is not even going to be taking the bait. He's not going to be wasting any ammo on the bats. He's just waiting. He knows it's going to be a long fight, and he's going to be patient and really just kind of save the ammo for those Vargulfs and those other nasty targets. But the Dwarves, again, in a defensive position here. The Dwarf Lord does actually have an item. Let's actually take a look. I believe it's the... what is this thing? Cursed thing. It is the Star Metal Plate. So lowers melee attack by 9. Actually a pretty good item. It looks like it is disabled if his leadership's lower than 50%, but he is a dwarf, so it's going to be hard to do. So the first Vargulf teasing the flanks a little bit. You can see the Iron Drakes are going to be rotating to kind of face him, but he is going to be pulling back. So right now, Aerocrastic is just kind of prodding the defenses of the formation, seeing if his opponent's going to react quickly. Just kind of testing the waters, as they say. So zombies are going to be surging forward. There is also a Banshee, and despite the fact that Banshees do magic damage, I like mixing in 1 because it does have decent AP values, even with the 25% mitigation. So the Banshee is going to be drifting in here, attacking the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, perhaps, and yeah, it's going to be really tanky because it's ethereal, so the dwarves won't be able to do too much damage to the Banshee. Failbats in the back are just parking, waiting for their time to strike. He's probably going to, do an alpha strike, just wait for the Vargulfs to charge and the Knights, and then from there the bats will go in to kind of, just muck things up. So the Banshee is going to come in with her little shank. Going to be fighting the Dwarves here. A nice little shield bash to the face is going to daze the Banshee. And it looks like the Trollhammer Torpedoes are going to be shooting at the Blooddragon Vampire Lord, I think. I mean, they could just shoot at the Graveguard, honestly. It's not a bad idea. But yeah, the Banshee is going to be fighting here. It hasn't taken out any Longbeards yet. And the first volley of Iron Drakes comes in and does some pretty substantial damage. And the Blooddragon Vampire Lord as well. It's probably going to be dropping some summons back here, I would imagine. But most certainly going to be probably hunting the Dwarf Lord. So Helm of Discord is now active. The stats of the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are going to be very low. 1 melee attack, as a matter of fact. Very, very punishing stuff. And the Graveguard of the Great Opens are going to be piling into the front line. And here come the Vargulfs. So it's really going to come down to A-Move's control. Is he going to be able to kind of deal with the Vargulfs? And there's the Fellbat timing. So the Fellbats go in, they muck up the Slayers, and they muck up the Iron Drakes. A really good 2-for-1 right there, which is going to allow the Vargulf to get a little bit of more, a little bit of value in there. It's going to be good. So Dragonback Slayers are going to be piling in, trying to inundate those guys and really just kind of slow them. Dragonback Slayers do have a slowing effect, so when they hit things, I believe it's 36%. So the Vargulfs here get taken down to 52% speed, and this is a really good situation for the Dwarves. Getting that anti-large here is starting to chip down the Vargulf. Invocation does go down overcasted, which is going to be hitting these guys, but the Dwarves so far are able to kind of secure this position, and you can see here the Graveguard of the Great Opens are slowly getting worn down by the ferocity of the Dwarves here. Now in the back line, the Black Knights are going to be circling around the back, and Aerocrastic has taken a long vacation here. With the Graveguard, they've gone up and around and seen the scenic sights of the lake, and now these guys are going to be charging into the back. Now the Dwarven Hammers are certainly ready for this. I mean, I guess they weren't facing the right direction, but it's a good matchup for them. They're going to be okay, but Von Hels is going down, so suddenly 50 melee attack is actually more than the Dwarven Hammers, so maybe the Graveguard are going to get the edge in that matchup with the magic buffs. Black Knights are being used to chase down rotting units, which is always a good choice, and it looks like now it's devolved into a bit of a pit fight. So here there's a bunch of Dwarves. The Iron Drakes aren't shooting though, which is the most important thing, because if the Iron Drakes don't shoot, the Vampires will 100% win. Vargulfs will generate really good long-term armor-piercing value against Dwarves, and Graveguard with the magical support are going to be quite strong, and you can see here, both of these Iron Drakes are pretty much tied down, so really unfortunate situation for the Dawi so far, and the Vargulfs are running rampant, which is not what you want. Those guys are going to be able to beat down hammers, they have really good armor-piercing values, and it's going to be a tough situation for these proud Dwarves. Although hammers are giving it back to the Graveguard, but with Invocation and Van Hell's Dance Kebab and the Helm of Discord, they've been just doing really, really good work. So if we look over here, the Slayers are able to chew down the Black Knights, so good situation for the Dwarves, able to stabilize this part of the battlefield here. So now you can see that the Trollhammer Torpedoes are back online, which means that this Vargulf, if he's getting hammered here, and if he is the target, it's going to be a really, really good situation for the Dawi, as there's pretty much no threats over here from the Vampires, just some zombies, and it looks like the Dragonback Slayers should be able to crumble and maybe destroy these Black Knights. It depends, they might be able to stabilize here. But yeah, Dragonback Slayers doing a very good job. Trollhammer Torpedoes are now shooting in, and they are going after this Vargulf here, which is really low. So the Dwarves are able to do very well in that situation, trying to pull back these Trollhammer Torpedoes as well. But the Blooddragon Vampire Lord is going to be dropping another zombie summon on top of these Iron Drakes, and the Vargulf is going to be charging in as well. So very nice timing, and there's not too much anti-large here. I would have liked to see a couple more groups of Slayers against these Vargulfs, but yeah, the Vargulfs are, they're doing their thing, and now he's healing. I mean, he's crumbling, but he's also healing. They do heal perpetually, and here you can see just so many of the Trollhammer Torpedoes are just going down due to attrition here. Helm of Discord's going to pop as well, going to help out and just kind of neuter the stats of a lot of the Dwarven infantry here. Dragonback Slayers, though, are in an okay situation. They're fighting Black Knights. At least they're fighting a large target, but if you don't kill the Vargulfs, you're just going to lose the game. These things are just such a terror for Dwarves. They can cycle charge basic infantry into the Shadow Realm. And, I mean, aside from Slayers and Trollhammers, nothing here is going to be very good against these guys. So some of the Trollhammers are trying to fight in guard mode, but they're just being pimp slapped up. And the Black Knights are going to be charging back into these Dwarf infantry as well. Balance power actually is surprisingly even. I mean, the Dwarf Lord is going to be losing to the Blooddragon Vampire Lord, also especially with the support of a Vargulf here. He does have some hammer support here in the center. It looks like there's about 39 of those guys. But yeah, it's not going to be, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be enough to chew through. There's some Dragonback Slayers coming in. Dragonback Slayers could make a pretty big difference, but he really, really needs to get these Iron Drakes with the Trollhammer Torpedoes back online. Now, if he can weather the storm and the Vampire counts run out of Winds of Magic, that could be something to really think about. Oh, look at this Vargulf. He somehow took some damage. Maybe a couple of the Slayers were able to kind of catch him and do a little bit of work. And Hammers still do have 55 weapon strength, so if they do make contact, I mean, it is going to hurt. And you can see this Vargulf is going to be going down here. So the Vampires have lost one Vargulf, so certainly a beacon of hope for the Dwarves here. Getting down one of those big targets is going to be really nice, and it looks like they're going to pile in to fight the other one. I'm not sure, as the Vargulf does slap one of their fellow Dawi here. That's going to be going to the book for sure. But bounce power is really even. I mean, it's normalized for sure, and it's anyone's game at this point. I think the Blooddragon Vampire Lord's doing a pretty good job slaying the Dwarf Lord here, but there is ample support with Longbeards and Hammers who are immune to psychology and are, for the most part, going to be able to outgrind the Vampire Count infantry. Graveguard is starting to get worn down now that they don't have any more magic support in the form of, like, Invocations and Van Hell's Dance Kebab. Well, the Helm of Discord is still active. Helm of Discord is going to be going down right there, which is pretty huge, but there's only 11 of them left. The Dwarves have pretty much won all of the infantry fights at this point. And there are some Graveguard over here on the far side. Just a standard group. They don't have the great weapon, so they're not going to be terribly threatening. But the Dwarves have secured the infantry fight. But the big thing for the Dwarves is the fact that they're still a full health Vargulf. Their Lord's very beat up. The Blooddragon Vampire Lord's in good shape. And I believe the Banshee is still going strong. If you look, the Banshee's just on the hunt, just going after that Lord. And eventually the Banshee will get the Lord. There's not really any magic damage here for the Dwarves to deal with that, which is very, very stressful. A Mass Terror out going down as well. Hammers are going to be breaking off. But look at this. Oh, it looks like there's some Trollhammer Torpedoes in the back. These things, 9 models, it's still something. And they're able to really hammer home and do some good damage to that Vargulf, that volley. So these guys could potentially be the breadwinner for the Dwarves. Now, Valspire a little bit in the favor of the Vampire counts. Hammers are still fighting. Zombies, they are still here, but Vampires are running out of steam in the infantry game, but I think they may be able to pull this one out. I actually haven't watched this game yet. They may be able to pull this one out using the Goon Squad, using the Banshee, the Blooddragon Vampire Lord, and the Vargulf to just go after the Dwarf Lord. I mean, the Slayers are solid here and doing a really good job, but he needs more of those. He needs just a ton of Slayers. This one Banshee, if it wanted to, could easily finish off those 11 Slayers. So here we have the Hammers still fighting in the main pocket. Longbeards are immune to Psych. They're going to be holding. Blooddragon Vampire Lord helping as well, but these zombies and this motley crew right here is going to be disappearing in a second. Now we have a couple Iron Drakes back online, which is big. 5 here, and it looks like 9 here, so it looks like we have 14 in total still fighting. But the Dwarf Lord is broken, which is really unfortunate. So part of it depends. If he runs this way, back towards his supporting elements, I feel like that should be something that's like programmed, where like Lords will run like towards the mass of their when they're afraid, they run for help, right? Instead of just like running off the map or something. I think that would be pretty cool. But anyways, it looks like here there's going to be probably the last zombie summon of the game is going to be going down, I would imagine, but that's going to be enough to shut down those Iron Drakes, which is really good. Dwarf Lord is actually wavering, so he is able to stabilize, but he's 32 speed against a 38 of a Vampire, so the Vampire could probably chase him down if he wants to. And here in the forest, you can see the Vargulf is just going to be kind of fighting a safe fight with Graveguard against Longbeards, so it's not like a terribly damaging fight for him. But look at these Dragonback Slayers. These guys are on the hunt. They're going. These 11 Slayers just forcing this Vargulf to kind of run. And it looks like Vargulf did take some extra damage here from the Trollhammer Torpedoes. So the Trollhammer Torpedoes are running from the zombies now. Zombies will be disappearing in about, I think, like 30 to 45 seconds, give or take, based on the parameters of the summoning rule. And here you can see the Blooddragon Vampire Lord is going to be cleaning up the last of these dwarves. That's also very tough. He's pretty tanky himself. He does have 90 armor and 40 melee defense, which isn't bad. And, oh man, the Vargulf's getting really low, though. Is he going to go down? Vargulf has about 1700 HP. I don't think he is, because he's probably going to be able to just hide and run. I mean, if he wanted to, if Arrow, he could just go like hide in the trees back here and heal and then come back in later. There's really no reason to lose Vargulf here. I think that there's some Trollhammer Torpedoes still left, one group, but the Banshee's doing a really good job. You can see Arrow probably has his Banshee, and he's probably just spam clicking here. Really trying to shut that down, which is good. Blooddragon Vampire Lord here is going to be dropping the Glorious Helm of Discord, which is going to be quite nice, putting the defensive stats of the Dwarves down to a manageable amount. Normally it's just a Terror in the Night trying to get Dwarven infantry down. And it looks like the last of the Trollhammer Torpedoes are going to be slapped into the Shadow Realm here by the Vargulf. And the Dwarves are going to be going after the Vargulf, actually, trying to finish it, which I think is not a bad idea. Trying to finish this bad boy off is pretty important, as he is a pretty substantial threat to your army. So some Hammers coming back here, some Longbeards. Every time I say Hammers, it just makes me think of ham for some reason. I don't know. Obviously, I know why, but yeah, it's just a weird thing. So Banshees here are going to be going, and there's just so many things for the Vampires that are just so meaty. Like the Banshee takes forever to kill if you don't have magic damage, obviously. And if we look here, it does have the Screaming Banner. Interesting stuff. So it doesn't just affect flying units; it affects everyone. -4 leadership. I mean, that's actually something to think about in other factions. Like if you are going for like a fear build and you're going to be using like Lore of Death with Manfred, having a Screaming Banner in the front line, I mean, every chunk of leadership matters. I can't tell you how many games I've seen be decided by like something where it's like 4 or 8 leadership and a unit just doesn't break, or it breaks. It's pretty big. Blooddragon Vampire Lord's going to be chasing down this proud Zawi Lord who's going to be running for the hills. 188 there. Well, not so proud, I suppose. And the Blooddragon Vampire Lord is going to be probably getting back into the main fight. I just don't know what the Dwarves can do at this point. They have Longbeards here. They have Trollhammer Torpedoes, which are still shooting. And the Vargulf has to be careful, actually. 1300 HP. The Vargulf does finish off the Dwarf Lord, but the Hammers are going to be going after it. Oh, but they get terrified, and it looks like that's going to be army losses for the Dwarves. Very well played to both players. I think that nowadays it's actually a matchup that is it's not a bad matchup for the Dwarves. I think Dawi can do pretty well there, but I think that Aerocrastic's persistence with the Banshee and the really good Vargulf control was incredibly solid. Helm of Discords made a big deal as well. And yeah, it was a great fun game to watch. So big thanks to Aerocrastic for sending that one in. If you guys haven't seen him, please check out his YouTube channel. He's an awesome guy and does some very, very fun streams and replays. So make sure to check him out. And well played as well to his opponent. Loopy is a hot elf, aka a move hacker. It was a fun build for sure. I love the Trollhammer Torpedoes, but it's just hard, man. with the summons and bats, like they were just offline for like almost the whole battle. But when they did come online, they really did work. They killed quite a few of those big targets. So in the Dwarven Hammer build, I thought that was cool as well. They were able to outgrind the infantry fight. It really just came down to the fact that the Trollhammer torpedoes weren't able to stay online. I mean, his infantry fight was fine. The build worked otherwise. But yeah, well played to both of these fine gentlemen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this match, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.